We're Alex and Stu, old friends living in different countries, talking about our lives as creative professionals, the things we're into, what we're learning, and telling tales of the fun we're having along the way. This is our way of helping to have a glass half full approach to life, and we're hoping it can help you too. Welcome to The Last Half.
Hey Alex, how's it going?
Really good, mate. This is exciting. This is something we've discussed a couple of times, isn't it, over the last few years, and never quite got round to doing it. But yeah, I'm excited to just be able to sit down and talk to you more often. If this can force us to come together and have a catch up, it's good to see your face, because usually we'll just swap a text or something, won't we? So yeah, and we can contextualize why that is, maybe, Stu, why we don't, see each other that often. But I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. End of the week. Been a busy 12 months, I think, of work and life, and hoping that this podcast will give us an opportunity to reflect on that and think about things moving forward. I think you and I are both quite similar, and I think we have a lot of passions and similar interests that is probably going to be really interesting, certainly for us, probably not for our wives, but maybe for other people who have similar interests. So,
people like
and
us.
at the meantime, we get to enjoy a nice drink.
Let's have a
least the
cheers.
last half.
Let's have a cheers to
Yeah.
our episode 1. Oh,
Cheers
where's my
to the
camera? Here you go.
pilot.
Cheers, Stu.
Cheers to you, Al. Cheers to you, who is watching this podcast and probably thinking, I'm going to turn this off anytime soon. So before we get going, Alex, tell me a little bit, or tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Alex. I'm a creative at heart. I'm a writer, director, cinematographer. I'm also co-founder of the content agency Clearhead. And that agency has been running for 15 years. That agency was started out of university, so straight from university started the business, and that's all I've ever known, really. So, done some freelancing, had my own clients on the side over the years, but mostly it's been building and running the agency, and writing, directing, and filming all of our films, pretty much. So yeah, now we're a team of 12, but really passionate about film, really passionate about writing and storytelling. Love cinematography and photography and lighting. And yeah, doing this podcast is a big, hopefully going to be a really big creative outlet for me as well, because a lot of my stuff is seen, but not a lot is heard from me about that stuff. So, it's another creative outlet to be able to get myself out there and for people to hear about my life as well as Stu's life and our creative lives. And yeah, that's what's really exciting for me. What about you, Stu? Give us a bit.
I've heard that story a few times because we used to work together, didn't we, Alex?
Well, we did, didn't we, Stu? Maybe you can give the guys, tell guys what you're up to now, and then maybe we can contextualize how we first met.
Well, right now I'm living in Spain. I'm a freelance sound and film and audio podcast producer, which brings me to this room, which looks nothing like Spain, but because I work remotely with most of my clients are based in the UK or global brands. So I do a lot of sound work and podcast production for interesting brands. So that's me now, and I'll probably bore you guys about how that came about in the long run and how that's been developing over the last 12 months. But it's certainly a skill set that I've sort of created and over the last, 35 years, the first half, but more specifically over the last sort of 10, 12, 15 years, I suppose.
Yeah, and so tell us a bit about that, how it all started, Stu, and then how did you end up where you are now? How did that whole transition into Spain happen?
Let's say that I pretended to be in bands, realized I wasn't very good at being in bands, but was better at working with bands as a producer, worked on the sound and mixing and producing, had a little studio. Got to know Alex through we actually inhabited the same building. I had a little studio downstairs. Alex's company had the top floor, as fancy as they are. And we got to know each other. We first worked on our first creative project together. It was a charity project for a Christmas cover of Do They Know It's Christmas, using a load of local artists and bands. And yeah, we started working together. It seemed like we had a lot in common. Started picking up some sound work for Clearhead and got to know the team. And Alex and I go on really well. And then became more of a part of the team on a full-time basis. A couple of years later, moved on, decided to move into London and started working for an agency there. And as of getting married in 2018, actually moved out to Spain because, let's face it, there's a lot of rain in the UK, and who wouldn't make such a decision? And that was 4 years ago, and here we are, and I'm now a father of two and a married man. So, yeah, had a lot thicker hair back when we worked together, Alex, but, still holding
barely.
on in there.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, it's mad. It's gone so quickly, isn't it, since meeting, and that whole journey together has been, great. It's been really quick. It's been up and down. Can't say I was the happiest when you decided to leave England, but you didn't get rid of me that quickly. I've been over there quite a lot when I could pre-COVID, and unfortunately the last couple of years have been pretty difficult to see each other. Actually, Stu came over with his family just before Christmas, or was it around Christmas? We got to see each other. I got to meet his kids for the first time in person, which was just mad considering, how often we would see each other prior to that. And but like no time had passed, like just, being able to fit into that groove as if we'd seen each other all together yesterday. So that was amazing. And hopefully we get the opportunity to visit each other more as the world returns to a more normal space, which we all hope for. But yeah, it's good. It's good that we can still catch up and see each other on things like Zoom and, FaceTime and all that sort of stuff, which we don't do enough of. But this is why this podcast is a bit of an extra excuse for us to catch up and keep in each other's lives, because we're both super, super busy. But making time for this is really important to us. So yeah, so it's just we wanted this podcast to really be an opportunity for us to catch up and for us to talk about our lives, but we feel that there's probably a lot of value that we can share and give to people that want to listen to us, right? Like that maybe in the same creative space as us, maybe in the same life space as us, being two nearly middle-aged guys.
I don't think nearly. I think we're very much middle-aged.
40 is like middle-aged. I'm going to say 35. I mean, I'm 36 next week. But
if I make it to 75, mate, and I've done well.
You will with this Spanish diet that you're now on, Stu. So,
no, I definitely won't with the Spanish diet.
We're coming up to middle age. We're not there yet. I say 40. Let's say 40.
But the last half, practically the last half of our lives, which is why we entitled the podcast The Last Half.
Yeah, and it has a lot of positive connotations as well, doesn't it? Our glass is half full, and we're looking
Speak to yourself. Mine's nearly empty.
I haven't touched mine yet. My little rum and coke there. But yeah, so we've got the best years to come, and we just wanted to be able to share what's going on in our lives, the ups and downs, and hopefully you can find some value in that. And it'd be great to have you guys come back and listen to us. I don't know how often we're going to do this yet. We haven't quite discussed that, but hopefully as often as we can. So
absolutely. Yeah, I think we both have an aim for this to not only sort of vent, I guess, and sort of just bounce off each other and share things together, but also get to share it with like-minded people. We're very passionate about what we do, whether it be film, sound, or anything sort of creative in that space. And I think there's a lot of people that have a similar way of life, and certainly wanted to share that and get to even some, hopefully people start to interact with this and share their own experiences so we can learn off them in the way that we hope to learn from you guys. And hopefully we can share that with you. So I think we should probably start. We have 4 topics in this podcast that we'd like to go through, and it's show and tell, if you will. Alex and I have both got an instance of work that we'd like to share, of fun, of love and life. So without further ado, I think it'd be great to start with our work life. Alex, tell everyone what is on your mind with work at the moment, and what's been your focus work-wise.
So with work at the moment, I think I've been working under the same guise for 15 years, definitely with different people, definitely on different types of projects. At the moment, we're we're on a growth trajectory, a good growth curve, and with that, we're super busy. I think probably everyone in the creative industries is super busy at the moment. It was definitely a hard time when COVID hit at the start of 2020. It was a hard time for me personally. There was a lot going on that made it tumultuous, but and we had to pivot. We had to pivot as a business quite hard to be able to not just survive, but just to keep going. And we're very fortunate to have got through that first 18 months without having to let anyone go. Having to say, sorry, we can't afford to keep you. I think we're very proud of ourselves that we were able to keep going, but it took a lot of effort, sacrifice, and creativity in order to do that. How could we pivot out of it? And that's really continued into today, where we're continually trying to pivot ourselves to maximize opportunities and what we can do. We're working on a lot of
the thing is, I just want to jump in, man. Like, as a freelancer, right? I've been freelance for the last 4 years, nearly. And obviously when this happened and everything happened with COVID, like, I had the same thing. But I think about the stress that I had with that, suddenly being told, look, everything and you can offer people as a service, you can't offer it because no one can afford to do it, or no one can do it because of what's happening. And that was really super stressful. And then I just think, like, someone like yourself who had and has everything that you have and the responsibilities of that, like, that stress is tenfold. Like, and anyone watching this as a freelancer knows that stress of, like, where's my next paycheck coming from? And you're like, not just my paycheck, like, shit, where's the next 10 paychecks coming for the next 10 months? Like,
yeah.
I don't even want to imagine that.
No, and we're a small to medium sized business there's 12 of us full time, and we do employ a lot of freelancers, but it was still a massive moment of, we weren't scared, but uncertainty. And I think, look, we took advantage of government support. We did all that we could to keep our company going and to keep our staff employed. That was our main focus, was, can we get through the end of this with everyone still in a job? It wasn't just about profit. It wasn't it definitely wasn't about growth at that point. And yeah, we had a great senior management team come together, including my business partner, to pivot and figure out how we could do that. And early 2020, I'd gone through a rough patch of stress, and this certainly didn't help that by February, March, we were going into COVID. But you do what you got to do. And
how did that, like, now, how has that now affected what your day-to-day is now? Like, within that, are you happy with it? Like, is that what you aimed for now, looking back on it?
Yeah, so in some ways it definitely, just before that moment in time and during it, I had to make some personal decisions. I had to do what was best for me and sort of adjust my role accordingly to support that. I had to take some of the pressure off. Unfortunately, my business partner and other senior managements understood that and were supportive of that decision. And so my role changed from being the creative director to chief creative officer, so that we can employ another creative director to help. Until that point, it was myself and a junior creative who's great, but sort of running all of these creative projects, all of these accounts. And that was something like maybe I'd burnt out a little bit on, in terms of how much more I could give to enable us to grow. So we fortunately managed to bring in a great creative director for a couple of years who really supported the growth aspects of the business. It meant that I could get a bit more hands-on. I could go back to my roots, and I was able to go back to focusing on what I love, which was supporting our clients, their brands and their businesses, to create content that has a purpose, that could create content that would engage with an audience that actually gained value out of these pieces of film. It wasn't just a video. So yeah, to go back to writing, to go back to creative strategy, but without some other pressures of owning your business, entails on my shoulders was a great opportunity for me, and that's what my day-to-day continues to look like still. I am 100% a part of all senior management discussions and decisions, and I'm still a co-founder of the business and a co-owner of the business, but I'm hands-on a lot more. I'm filming a lot more. I'm on shoots a lot more. I mean, January, it's 21 filming days in January that I was on, filming out and about, meeting new people in new locations, being creative.
Which didn't even just that a year ago, or maybe a year and a half, if someone say, we've been out and about meeting new people. Like, that's something actually I really missed. Like, working as part of a film team, or just generally working in the film industry, if you're involved in shoots, like, you get to see stuff and meet people that you don't necessarily do in day-to-day life. And it's not crazy. It's not stuff like, we did this. It's just meeting random people, because you don't normally, like, at our age, once you get to your 30s, like, it's very typical that your social circle, the people that you hang out with and the experiences you have become, like, not limited, but just they become typical, because it's harder to venture out. So I have to say, like, I miss that, and I think anyone that works in this in the film industry would definitely, like, vouch for that. Like, it's a massive plus point.
Yeah, and engaging and being creative with people and forming relationships and trying to be as positive as you can be when you're up against time in stressful situations, because you have to, you have to execute this on the day, and there's all these other restrictions than there were previously in terms of health and safety and COVID, having a COVID mentality as well, being safe, wearing masks all day. That all adds to the pressure, but we were, chomping at the bit to be able to get back into that. So it's been great that we've been busy filming, and we've been busy getting out and about and shooting again. We have those, because of COVID and because of the pivoting that we did, pushed heavily into other areas such as virtual, same with you, Stu, like virtual events and virtual types of production that we weren't doing before, that have actually become a big part of our business, a big part of our revenue, and that's actually bolstered our business. It not only allowed us to survive through that period, it's actually become a bolt-on to growing our business, which we continue to do today. So and it's actually, brought in clients that we maybe wouldn't have got if we hadn't pivoted into offering those services. So work, and I mean, to sum it up for me, just like, work has been a lot more about the craft in recent times than growing the business, although growing the business is always something that we have to focus on, and always something that I have to play a part in. It's just that, that opportunity for me to focus on our craft being the catalyst for that growth has seen a lot of benefits as well. Like, we've never submitted to win awards or anything like that before. The last couple of years, we've won more awards than we ever have in previous years, and some really good notable ones, not for our ego, but just to be acknowledged for the quality of our work. So that's meant a lot. Something to be really proud of out of the adversity of the last few years. So that's worked for me. And I know, Stu, for you, it's been a similar story, like the trajectory, and it'd be great to hear kind of from starting out, from freelancing when you decided to move to Spain, and kind of the challenges that you faced from then, but also the benefits of that for you as well would be, really interesting to hear.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar in a way, just me, rather than worrying about a company of X amount of people and the stress of that. I guess, it's pretty obvious that the last 2 years, from the last 2 or so years, that remote is here to stay. The culture company culture has changed because of that. And I think that, from my perspective, opened a massive door into podcasting and the value of that. I think podcasting has been around for years and years now, but the value of it, certainly what I found from working with the different clients I have over the last sort of 18, 24 months, is companies want to decrease the verticality of their hierarchy. So, like, how do they get, and it was difficult before when people were working in offices, but how do they get a CEO to speak to someone who's on the shop floor, for example? How does that shop floor person get to speak to the CEO? by creating a podcast that suddenly actually I can hear from that person, or even create a live call in or whatever. And the technology, even over the last 2 years, again, the technology has become like incredible and made that so easy. Like the importance of having internet, high speed internet at home, to even just have these calls, not just, before it's like, well, do you really need it so you can, game at home, whatever. But now it's, here I am with a fancy camera, which I would never have spent, my child doesn't need an education. I'll just have a nice camera instead. Because for me, it's important that all of my clients have the same experience. Whereas maybe 2 or 3 years ago, well, if my camera is, only 720p or whatever, now it's like, okay, well, hang on a minute. I'm a professional that sells myself as a guy who knows how to create good audio and good like video calls and edit those up and make those feel intimate and show empathy. And I have a crap camera. Like, how's that going to work? So yeah. So to answer your question, like it's changed. And what I wanted to share really was like how my role before 2 years ago was as a freelance film producer with a bit of sound design here and there, to predominantly, and I don't joke when I say 80% of my work is podcast work, whether that be internal or external facing. Podcasting is massive because we can produce it at a high quality level for fairly low budgets, to be able to do that and connect people in a way that you just wouldn't have been able to do before. And what was kind of lucky for me was it was kind of like a mix of all of my skills, So I was production management and planning that and understanding, okay, well, look, this is how, have to work to timelines and how to communicate with people. And these are things I worked as a producer and a director and then before and still currently as a sound designer. So it's like, okay, once we've got everything sounding good and once we've edited it and got it to where we want to, then it needs to be sound mixed and mastered. So all of those skills came into play. And obviously, even like integrating music. So going even further back as a novice music producer working with pop, punk, rock bands, sweaty 21-year-old garage bands, to like understanding how music plays a part in that, So it's
making the best out of nothing, right? Like making the best out of the things that you have at the time. You can make something highly polished and commercial from very little. And I think that's, the grassroots learning that you had with the bands and working with young artists has definitely sort of led to you being an expert when you're starting to produce, these CEOs in large corporations with maybe just their webcam.
Yeah. And still, like, you can advise people to say, look, for €100, you can have a 10 times better camera / microphone. And they're like, yeah, but it's fine. So, okay, fine. You have to work with that. That's the parameters that you've given us, and I have to be creative within that. And actually, kind of slightly on that point to your thing around learning, working with bands. The funny thing is, I think the one thing I learned from working with bands more than anything is how to deal with personalities, which I'm better at in work than I am in life. But I think you'll always find clients or participants, there's so many different personalities, and it's understanding that sometimes you just have to have that patience and understanding that how to word things to turn people around and say, look, calm down. This is what we need to do. Don't worry, it's fine. Or, hang on a minute, someone's being out of line. Like this, let's have a firm holding on this. Like, let's calm it down, because there's so many different personalities flying around the room. So that's something that even, aside from like how to compress a voice or how to noise reduction on whatever, it was that as well. That's a really important thing. And I think that translated, and probably something that you can ascertain to, like working on a film shoot. Like you'll have a client, you'll have actors, you'll have crew, you'll have makeup artists, you'll have whatever, and they're all there. And it's like, how do you manage those people in the moment? Because it's on you. You're the guy in control of that situation. So that's like a really key thing for me. And we've kind of gone off on one, but I just wanted to share that, because I think it's like a really important part of working in creating content, because you're normally working with people and your job is to get the best out of those people in various different ways, whether it be technically or performance. And I just think it's really important. But yeah, so kind of just to wrap up on a work thing, I just kind of wanted to share that my world has changed massively. And to your point earlier, probably for the best, because I suppose when I moved here 4 years ago and suddenly was working remotely, the challenge was always sort of convincing people that you're doing the work. Everyone thinks that you're sat here oh, you're having a pina colada or a gin and tonic, maybe. But normally you're not. Like, you're working, they just can't see you doing it. So that prejudice or that sort of that worry about, is this guy actually doing the work? Well, it's been 2 years since everyone's been doing the same thing, and we're still doing the same amount of work, if not more.
Yeah.
So that's gone. Like that whole thing of worrying about, well, hang on, trust, that I feel like that's gone. And I think it's up to you. And in fact, being remote and being here where there is no local industry and having to work with clients who are in the UK or global or whatnot, like, I feel more responsible and more, I feel like I need to try harder almost to convince them. So I work harder to show them I'm doing it than I would probably if I was face to face.
But even if they were engaging with someone of your expertise in the UK, everyone's doing it remotely anyway. So there's no reason why, there's no difference to you being in Spain to around the corner in London. They'll still probably be doing everything remotely anyway. And, bringing, I don't know, the context of your podcast, but people from all over the world into these conversations. So yeah, it's not, I think even in the workplace, just before, I mean, it's maybe a story for another time, but just before COVID, we signed a lease on a 2,500 square foot office space of our dreams to house all of our staff full time, 5 days a week, have everyone in the same space. Within 2 months, everyone was working from home, and now there's probably a maximum of 3 or 4 people in the office at any one time. So, how do you manage that team, without the idea of needing to control everyone in the same space all day and micromanaging that way? It's like, well, you have to trust them to do their work, and you have to have the tools to manage that, to time track, to track progress, to have the updates. And then people can hopefully just be more focused in their own time to do a better job than they could when they were sat in an office being distracted by everyone. So I think, I said to you before we started, but I think 2020 maybe was a massive benefit for what you wanted to do with your life and the transition you were going through, because the world had to adapt in a way that supported what you were doing even more than it maybe would have if the expectation was, no, you need to be here. Like, you're going to have to be in our offices.
I don't, and it's probably something that I'll touch on later when we get to our life points, but I don't know how people like my dad or everyone else's parents or, people who have had families and worked full time as both parents, how the hell they dealt with working as hard as they did and also raising a family and, having a home life. And you do, because you have to. But I don't know how people do it. Like, I honestly, I'm so thankful for this that I have personally now, because I think to work in the creative industry is a big dedication, to do it at a good level and also ultimately make a living from it as well. So I think you have to sometimes make sacrifices, and I think everyone who works in the industry will know that. So I think it's interesting. I think it's helped everyone out. I think, like you say, I think 2020 onwards is kind of secretly, there's a silver lining.
I think there's a silver lining. I think it depends on your personality, but I think for what our personalities are, or for what we do, there's definitely been a silver lining to it in many, many ways. So Stu, what have you been, we'll talk about fun a little bit, what we're doing for fun, what we've been accessing or playing with that's fun for us. I think just to bring a bit of levity to our conversations, maybe share, just tell us what's been fun for you this last month or so. What have you been into?
Well, I bought just Black Friday, it was, because they had an offer on.
Of course it was.
This year because it was, yeah.
Yep.
This year we're looking to sort out our outdoor living space, because we are here where we are, and certainly from sort of March, April onwards until about November time, you're outside practically all the time. So that's our priority this year. And so I saw an offer on the uni pizza oven, and a friend of mine who at Putman's Pizzas, by the way, just in case there's some budding pizza fans out there. He has this pizza, and pizza oven. He had it for a year and posts some incredible pizzas, homemade pizzas. And I was like, do you know what? We're going to do this outdoor kitchen if we can. I've seen this offer. It's going to save me a bit of money. I'm up for it. Let's do it. And since then, I've been trying to make homemade pizzas. And I have to say that it's been an absolute disaster.
Oh, not what I was expecting you to say.
No,
It's
well,
not gone well. Not gone well.
it came from also like we were spending, I don't know, silly money on takeaways like once a week. It was, yeah, let's get a pizza. And I was like, this is stupid. So anyway, I also partly blame where we live and find it very hard in the local area to find 00 flour, which all these decent pizza recipes rely on having a decent flour. Here you can kind of just find flour and that's about it. So my recipes have been somewhat skewed. I've been trying things, and the trouble has been like launching a pizza. Apparently that's the thing. Who knew that the way you launch it changes everything? It's about heating everything to the right temperature and then dropping it. And then it's about not overloading a pizza. So, you think about when you get a pizza takeaway and there's only a couple of toppings and you're like, what's that? You've just been so cheap. Well, actually, if you put too many pizza toppings on it, the thing's going to crumble and won't cook and you won't be able to launch it and take it out. Who knew?
Who knew?
So, and exactly. So I've been trying, and still haven't successfully found, after probably about 10 or 11 different tries in the last month, 2.5, we have probably failed to find the right pizza base recipe yet, but I'm keen to make it work because I've spent too much money.
So how often are you doing this? How often are you experimenting?
Once a week. I'm fat enough already, but I'm keen to make it work.
And what is your favourite pizza, Stu? Because I don't think I know this. What's your favourite pizza?
I'm a meat fan. Basically, just put
Of course, he is
a good amount of meat on a pizza. Although I would at this stage just I would happily just take a good margarita, considering how bad some of these pizzas have been. And I kid you not, there's nothing more depressing than launching a pizza in a 900 degree Fahrenheit, in a 900 degree oven, and then it falling apart and burning right in front of your eyes on top of your pizza stone. So it's not a lot you can do about that.
Do you make another one then?
Bloody depressing. No, because it's just I'm done.
Give up.
Because obviously you have to, when you make the base, you have to wait for it to ferment. You have to wait for it to rise, and that's 24 hours, whatever. So it's not like, well, just quickly make another one.
Oh.
So yeah, I'm really keen to make it happen because I think it's like a.
Has Martha had a go though? Has your wife had a go at making a pizza? Did hers turn out better than yours, or?
No, I need her help though because at the moment, because again, we got nowhere to put this pizza oven, so it's out downstairs in the garage on a stone floor. So I'm just burping because I've just had too much to drink.
You need some pizza tips. Is that what you're asking for?
I'm getting tips. The challenge really is the fact that I can't find 00 flour here in Cartagena. So I can import it, but who wants to spend £5 on a bag of flour? Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm going to make it.
What is 00 flour? I'm not clear as to what this is.
Super fine, as far as I know, super fine flour, which just helps it to raise better rather than it feeling too thick and then you get pizza flour that is pre-made that has the yeast in it, and then you get into this battle around instant yeast versus like fresh yeast. And I'm a novice. I have no idea, but I'm keen to make it work because I feel like it's going to be a good option moving forward. We host a lot of people generally in our house because we have the space and I love having people here and we love to host people. If you just said, look, we're 10 people, we're 12 people, let's chuck a couple of pizzas in and it's done, rather than, let's, barbecue. And I'm a big barbecue fan, which I'll bore people with in the future, I'm sure. But it's just, it should in theory be a little bit easier.
Hashtag left out.
Okay. In the future, mate.
In the future, I want that swimming pool. I want that barbecue. It's hard for me. Count yourself lucky, Stewie, your pizza. At least you can eat it, As a gluten and dairy intolerant man, I have to do some strange things in order to enjoy a pizza.
I won't ask what those strange things are, mate.
It's quite simple, but it's basically puff pastry. If you can get your hands on some gluten-free puff pastry, and that's your base for your pizza, it works all right. Hopefully I can come and you can treat me. Yeah.
Yep, and I will have at least nailed one decent pizza in that time.
I'll bring you a suitcase of 50-50. I'll smuggle it in.
Go on. Yeah. So tell me, I've rambled about pizza. Tell me about your piece of fun.
Fun. Well, I think we were chatting about it could be not just what we've done, but some things that maybe, because I haven't done a lot, if I'm honest. I've been working, I've been shooting a lot. maybe something that we've bought or some sort of technology that we're enjoying. So the thing this week that I'm super excited about is I finally decided to get myself an Apple Watch. So I finally decided to get myself an Apple Watch 7. And it's been great. I mean, I've only had a day with it so far. It's telling me that my heart rate is about 95 at the moment, which is higher than a resting heart rate should be.
It's because you're very nervous because you're on a very important podcast recording.
Quite possibly. So, but it's been fluctuating today. So, yeah, it's. I'll tell you what. The reason I haven't had one up to this point is because of the health diagnostics that it provides. I getting personal, I'd suffered a little bit with health anxiety a couple of years ago, to quite a bad degree, and me monitoring my heartbeat every 5 minutes probably wouldn't have been the best thing for me to do in terms of worrying about my health and my body. So I kind of held off on it, but haven't got it, and obviously it's now into version 7 or whatever, and yeah, I mean, I love watches. I've got a collection of watches. I'm a watch collector.
Give me your opinion. Slight side turn here. Give me your opinion on the Apple Watch advert, the one in the forest.
Yeah, the fall detector, whatever it's called. I think it's great. Just simple, single one shot. It may have influenced the film that I've just shot this week. But this idea.
By the way, for anyone listening to this, we're not. This wasn't prepped. He's not. We're just that in tune with each other. Go on, carry on.
Not at all. Yeah, no, it definitely influenced the shot. This idea of, commercials and adverts don't need to be complicated visual effects, hoo-has, to be engaging and to be successful in converting an audience. I think that simple one-shot push in immerses you. It immerses you into the moment, the idea of the scope and scale of this forest, and the idea of finding someone there. That's clever creative, and I think just allow the audience to sit and exist within a moment for 30 seconds can be really
you nailed
really
the narrative. You get the concept right. Like you say, you don't need everything else as long as it's done well. Like, don't be wrong, that's not. But it's absolutely, it's like you get the right idea, and that's more important. Man.
Yeah, and Apple and Apple Watch adverts historically are very snazzy. They're very much, let's use a robot to get some tracking moves and stuff. But this one, I really loved it. So enjoying the Apple Watch so far. I've ordered myself a charger for it because obviously everything is contactless. Not contactless. Is it contactless? Contactless charging now with my phone and my Apple Watch and my AirPods and stuff. So I've got this I've ordered something called the Nomad base station, I think it's called. So I should be able to charge my phone, my watch, and my AirPods at the same time. And it ended up being cheaper to order it from America and importing it over.
Would you consider yourself a bit of a Mac fan or an Apple fan?
Oh, yeah, completely. Like, Apple ecosystem just works, doesn't it? Especially with the work that we do. And
could you live without an Apple phone?
Probably. I just never have.
I mean, ultimately, yes, but yeah.
I think I've been iPhone since the first iPhone, and I could, but I wouldn't want to. I mean, I if I had to, I 100% would, and I wouldn't be concerned about that at all. But
you think it'd have a negative effect on your productivity?
I don't know. I don't know because it's all I've ever known, really, or all I can ever remember, and it works for me. Like, it is, I know it inside out, back to front. It's efficient. It's effective. It does what I need it to do, and the fact it can all sync up together with my laptop, my my watch and my phone. It's just perfect. So yeah, so that was kind of the last piece of the puzzle. Apart from maybe upgrading to some sort of M1 chip compatibility computer. My MacBook Pro is getting a little bit old, but other than that, yeah, I'm on it, and just gonna. I don't know. I just need to dig deeper into the features because I really don't. At the moment, I'm not really doing much with it other than telling the time and seeing what date it is, and actually just what my heart rate is, which has gone down to 88 since we've been speaking about this subject. So,
good.
so yeah, I'm enjoying that. That's a bit of fun, little treat for myself. It's not always like that, but it's something I'm enjoying. So that's all that counts.
Good, man. I'm glad. And I think that little segue into an advert could lead us nicely into our next topic of love, which is where we're going to talk about something that we've enjoyed or consumed, whether it be something on YouTube, whether it be a film, a new album, whatever.
Yeah.
I would love to bring to the table 5 years later than it needs to be brought to the table, but I watched I watched Mother with an exclamation mark the other day. Somewhat without any sort of pre-thought, preamble. I had no idea. I'd never heard of it. I'd never seen any sort of gumph around it. Obviously, Jennifer Lawrence.
Was it on TV, or did you did we like flicking through and fancied it, or
no? This was one of those rare moments where both of my children were asleep by 9:30 at night. So I was like, "Wow, let's watch a film and let's have something that I can actually escape into." So flicked through Netflix, found it, saw Javier Bardem, saw Jennifer Lawrence, and went for it. And I think, yeah, without those expectations, I think you watch everything, don't you? You watch everything, and this is why I want to bring it to the table, because I was watching it thinking, right, these characters are doing something weird. This doesn't really make sense. What's going on here? There's something that's making me feel uncomfortable. You know, you watch, and also the really long shots from her perspective immediately made you feel uncomfortable, which I really like that technique. It was cool. I wouldn't want it all the time, but it worked really nicely for that. I started to go, okay, there's some sort of symbolism here. This isn't character and plot. This is symbolism. Something's going on. So you're thinking, okay, Mother, is it like from a perspective of a mother going through childbirth or your pregnancy or whatnot? And you're like, well, that's not really right. And then you get to the bit where, you know, bit near the end and things change. I'm not going to spoiler alert just in case, but
yeah.
I just really enjoyed the symbolism of it and reading up after it and understanding, you know, it's from the perspective of the story of Earth and Earth's relationship with God and various biblical events, which, yeah, I just really enjoyed it. Like, it was cool. It was a bit of escapism. There's some loose ends, which I think is down to interpretation, you know, like certain things around what she was drinking, that orange liquid and stuff. And yeah, just thought it was cool.
I think it's all right.
And obviously it was,
I think it's all right to spoil stuff as well, Stu. I think in these conversations we can spoiler alert stuff, especially if we've both seen it, because it'll give us some stuff to elaborate on. But go on then. What were you going to say?
You haven't seen it?
I have seen it. I can't remember because it came out in 2017. So I was just having a quick look at some stuff on it. But
so
I do
it's the
remember
same director, or as who did Requiem for a Dream, right?
Darren Aronofsky, isn't it?
Who also completely fucked me up watching that film as well. 10 years ago or whenever that
Black
was.
Swan, you know, a lot of mind-bending. The Fountain, Requiem for a Dream. Yeah, Darren Aronofsky. Like I said, I don't remember a lot about it, but I do remember it being a film that sparked conversation after watching it. And they're films that I love watching, you know, to be able to continue the commentary after seeing it, other than saying, well, that wasn't very good. What was that? You know, like to actually have some questions unanswered and to be able to go away and do some research. And Becky, my wife,
really annoyed.
She's always doing that, you know, getting into bed after watching a film and like spending the next hour or two like Googling stuff, reading stuff.
Yeah, we did the same. And I got really annoyed with it near the end. I was like, what on earth am I watching? Like, literally, why is this happening? It's annoying me.
Yeah.
And then you go, okay, maybe I know that this is about, you know, the story of Earth and life and God and biblical events. And then you're like, oh, okay, I'm not annoyed anymore because there's some rationale. Like, I need rationale. Give me reason for why this is happening, which is like probably makes me give a little bit more perspective as to why I'm like I am and really wanting control in my life, which again, I'll get to in a minute. But it makes me understand that, like, I need that rationale. But it's great because we did the same. We went to bed. You're like, oh, okay, I'm going to read up about it. Oh, okay, cool. That's just me being an idiot. And instead of just understanding this is what it should have been, rather than worrying about the characters and the tone and taking it at face value.
Yeah.
So that was my love thing.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I mean, I guess you don't watch many films, do you? You don't get the time to. It's taken you 4 years to watch that one. I don't know, guys, how often we're going to be talking about films on this podcast with Stu Rolls here, but I'm glad you managed to get to watch that one.
Yeah, I just don't know why I'm not hired as a film director anymore, mate. I just,
It's true, yeah. Yeah. Well, music producer doesn't listen to music. What are you talking
What a
about?
surprise. Yeah, makes no
A
sense.
podcast producer doesn't listen to podcasts.
I listened to one.
Good. Well, that's good, at least, isn't it? At least you know what one is.
Never mind. We'll delete this bit.
No, that's all good. What have I been watching this week? I mean, I'm not a massive music listener, so you probably won't hear me talking about a lot of music, but I probably will talk a lot about podcasts and TV and films because we're pretty heavy consumers of content. I probably have watched everything, which is something I am proud of. So, what for a bit like recently, I was just going to talk a bit about The Mandalorian or the Book of Boba Fett, should I say. If you guys have been watching it on Disney Plus, you probably feel at the moment that it is more of The Mandalorian. The last 2 episodes have been very heavy Mandalorian based. Stu, do you know anything about this? Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know what Star Wars is?
My dad said it's quite good.
Okay.
But that's about it, mate.
It's good. Have you seen Star Wars, Stu?
I haven't. I've been really meaning to watch the 9th episode, but I haven't.
So in Star Wars, there was a character called Boba Fett, and his dad was called Jango Fett, and they were both bounty hunters. So that meant that they would get paid to hunt down and either kill or capture criminals or just people that other people wanted dead, and they would be paid highly for doing so. And so, in the original Star Wars films, Boba Fett was a character that was only in for a few scenes. It was only in for a very short amount of time, yet became a really key character of the franchise. And so, 30, 40 years later it is, and with this sort of reimagination of Star Wars within Disney, they released The Mandalorian. They released previously 2 seasons of that, and now they've come on to release the Book of Boba Fett, which is all about Boba Fett. But the last 2 episodes have been essentially a continuation of the Mandalorian storyline from last season, where Grogu, Baby Yoda, do you know who Yoda is? Little green.
Yeah. The green one, yeah.
So Baby Yoda isn't Yoda or Baby Yoda. It's a youngling of their species, Yoda species, and he's called Grogu. And he was protected by Jedi, and all the Jedi got killed. And so he's on this journey. People are after his blood because they want to create. I can't remember exactly what they want to create, but they want to take the midichlorians or the Force out of his blood and try and replicate it for bad use or whatever. So the whole second series of Mandalorian was protecting Grogu by the Mandalorian, who is a Mandalorian. A Mandalorian is like a religion. It's like it's not his actual name.
Right.
But Mandalorian is like a religion. And so in this series, we've kind of gone back to them, see him kind of wondering how Grogu's doing, going all the way to visit him, and we see Grogu start to go undertake his training from Luke Skywalker. And so what you'll find really cool about this, Stu, is do you know who Luke Skywalker is, right?
Right, yeah.
The Jedi, right? Yeah. So
that guy, yeah.
Obviously, first time round, A New Hope, Mark Hamill was like maybe late teens, early 20s when he made those films. Forward 40 years, and they've recreated, or they're sort of face replacing an actor to look like Luke Skywalker, how he looked in A New Hope, Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back. So they're doing this sort of face tracking effect and reversing time, a bit Benjamin Button. A little bit Benjamin Button. And it wasn't great last series, but this series, it seems to be getting better. And I guarantee in a couple of years, it will be absolutely honed in, perfect. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
And
they can start recreating these.
Right?
Yeah. What was that film with Robert De Niro and last year or a couple of years ago? Big gangster film, and they did it. They reversed aged De Niro and
the Irish. What was that?
The Irishman. That's it.
So, yeah.
The technology is getting there, and they call it deep faking, don't they? So you see these people post these episodes being released, attempting their own version of deep faking Luke Skywalker, and it being 10 times better than what Disney managed to do, spending who knows how much money trying to do it. And so what they did for these last 2 episodes is actually hired one of these deep fake YouTube guys to come in and attempt to improve the deep fake technology to reverse age Luke Skywalker. And they had Mark Hamill come back and voice Luke Skywalker, applied some effects to make him sound a bit younger.
Just a bit of pitch shifting, right? Sped him up and pitch shifting.
Yeah, and then, people have been like, "Oh, his voice was a bit weird." It's like, well, yes, he's 40 years older, and they've added some effect to make him sound younger. But I do have a T-shirt to show you, and I want to show you my my Mandalorian T-shirt here.
That's good, mate.
See that? Can you tell what that is, Shu?
It's the helmet stuff, yeah.
And if anyone's watching and you fancy that you like the T-shirt and you fancy picking yourselves up one, I don't have any links. I don't have any affiliate links to earn me any money. Maybe in the future. But I got it from a website called New Rockstars. And they also, New Rockstars, have a great YouTube channel where they break down each episode of this. They do it for Marvel films, they do it for everything. And they break down each episode. If you're a bit of a geek like me when it comes to film and TV, it's worth checking them out. So that's New Rockstars on YouTube.
I want to do that thing, which a lot of the people that I work with on podcasts do, and they say, just check out in the show notes. Like, we'll pop some links in the show notes. Let's do that. I'm going to pop a link to some pizza ovens if anyone wants to get stressed with me about pizza. Alex can pop a link to T-shirts, which are far too cool for him.
Yep.
And generally, I think that's quite a good value point off the back of this podcast.
Yep. Didn't have to pay any import tax on that one. That came all the way from America. So, yeah. In the show notes, guys.
Speaking about films and kind of trying to segue into the next one, I'm just trying to find a transition point here.
Okay.
You get to watch a lot of films at the moment, Alex. I imagine that's probably going to change in the next few months. Why is that?
Oh, because my TV license hasn't been paid. No, my subscriptions have been cancelled. Well, no, we've had some amazing news over the last few months. Well, we got amazing news 5 months ago, and that's that myself and my wife Becky are expecting our first baby, our first child. So we're super, super happy about that. We're very, very excited. It's exciting every single day seeing Becky as she grows, and as we've been getting all the scans and actually seeing this human being start to be creative. It's all very surreal to me. I still don't quite understand it or believe it's real, but it's happening. And we're very excited. And we had a couple of moments early in the pregnancy that are a bit scary, a bit touch and go, but everything seems okay. And, we're just very excited now. In the last couple of months it's going to take before the baby comes. So, everything's going to change. And I'm trying not to listen to the horror stories. I'm trying to take it as it comes in our own way, because every baby's different. Every family's different. And if I have a baby, anything like Stu's kids, I know I'm going to go mad. From what I heard.
My kids are lovely. They're just kids. They're bloody awful. like
sleep, right? Sleep, yeah.
What I did have a question actually. What's probably the most realistic moment? So what I experienced is that you're the man, so you've done nothing basically. And obviously Becky, your wife, is doing all the hard work. And then there comes a moment where you're like, oh shit, I'm a dad. Or oh shit, this is real. Obviously they're dealing with it day to day. They're feeling the physical, the excerpts of that and everything, the bodies are changing, everything. Have you had a moment where you've gone, wow, okay, cool, this is happening?
I think there was...
Because for me, to spark that...
Yeah.
God, no, for me to spark that was we went for a scan and then we heard the baby's heartbeat.
Yeah, so that
was nuts.
That's what I was hoping for, but every single scan we've gone to so far, the sonographer has said that they don't do that. So we've only ever seen the heartbeat beat. We've never heard it. And I've asked, and I don't know if it's specific to the hospital that we're going to. I've been told it probably isn't specific to the hospital we're going to, but I've never heard the heartbeat yet. So that's mad. I've seen it flutter, and they say, yep, strong heartbeat, and that's great. But hearing it hasn't been a moment for me because I haven't been able to hear it, you know. So definitely have started to feel some kicking, and I think that's been the moment. You know, we have an app and we track the size of it per week, and you know, we're at nearly 23 weeks on Sunday, and it's only recently that the baby started kicking. You know, I think it's about 30 centimeters, or what they like to describe it as spaghetti squash, which I don't know what a spaghetti squash is, nor what it looks like, but apparently it's about 30 centimeters big.
Right.
So yeah, to have a baby in there now who's kicking, and I get to sort of feel that occasionally. I'm sure that will get even more profound, but that's the moment. And I think I still don't think I'm going to quite feel how real it is until the birth, until I hold
Probably not.
the
No,
baby in my arms.
from experience, it's that. It's like, how can you? Like,
No.
you know, you're still able to have a drink. You're still able to sleep at night, you know, all going well. Like, you know, your body's not changing in the same way. Like
No.
I think
I mean, I've had to do a lot more around the house, Stu. I mean, that feels more real.
Keep going.
You know, we've got onto HelloFresh so that I can do a bit more of the cooking, because I didn't do a lot of cooking prior to Becky's pregnancy. But I've been trying to play my part.
Like you know, it's great. It changes everything in a way that you want it to, and you will not know like until it happens to you. And everyone always says like, "Oh, you wait," and then you're like, "Yeah," and you know, but when it comes, like then you're like, "Oh, that's what they mean." And then the next week comes, and then that's what they mean, and like everything changes like constantly, and it's just this constant like cycle of everything. You know, this is this moment, and then you know, in the next month, oh, this is my worry and everything, and exciting, man. Like it's great. Like I've known you a long time, and as much as I'm gonna get quite pathetic now, like I consider you like a friend. I consider you like a brother sometimes in the way you talk to me and help me out, and at times you've really like put an arm around me, man, and I think that's something that you'll be able to apply to fatherhood so well. Like I can really imagine yourself and Becky as parents like really, really easily. So, you know, it's good.
Yeah, we're really excited. I think, you know, it was always something that we were destined to do. I just think it's not something that we felt like we had to do when we were expected to do it, you know. And it's not to say we weren't trying to get pregnant, I think, but we feel like the right time's now, you know, that probably a couple of years ago wouldn't have been a good time to have fallen pregnant and to have had a baby, but now we're kind of in a good place, and I think we're just excited to welcome that creation into our lives, I think. So yeah, it's just something to look forward to, and definitely something that we'll probably share and talk about a lot as we do more of these.
I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, that kind of leads into my point of life. And again, reiterating that I have two children, one that's 2 years and a bit, one that's 5 months old, and like balancing my focus really over the last since New Year, really, having had a really good 12 months, about having a long sort of 2.5 week break over Christmas, being able to sort of take stock of things and go, okay, well, where are things at and what do I want to do? Like what I've been doing right and what I've been doing wrong. And I think as a freelancer, you do everything you can to maximize your career and maximize your income ultimately, because you have bills to pay and you want to do stuff. Yeah. So I would be the first to admit that I was very lucky that Marta, you know, gave me the space to focus on work over the last 3 or 4 months. But it did mean I probably wasn't as present as I was as a father during the day, Monday to Friday, to be with both of our children. And that, you know, you can turn around and say, well, you know, most dads over the X amount of years as working professionals wouldn't be able to do that anyway. But I had the choice, and I chose money. Ultimately, I chose my work. You know, it's great because we've been able to do things, and we hopefully we'll be able to do more things in the future. But I chose that, rightly or wrongly. So I've been really keen over the last few weeks and moving forward to focus on building a routine that allows me to be more present in the house and be with the family more.
Yeah.
So,
but I think with that, Stu, as well, though, like, you know, it's you don't work for anyone else. Like, you know, you have clients, and when there's jobs, you take the job. You know, that's security. That's about security for your family. That's about looking after them in that way. You know, it wasn't something you were doing just because you wanted more. It was something you were doing because the opportunity was there, and you knew that would create more security if there was a rainy day in the future, right? So, you know, I think that sacrifice is worth it longer term, for that short term sacrifice. So,
yeah, I think my niche, my angle also is I am where I am, right? So there's no immediate industry here. So if I lose my contacts in the UK or clients in the UK, it's harder for me to generate that. I can't just go for a beer with someone. I can't generate it as easily. So I'm very keen to keep good relationships. And I think also the other thing is I was really keen noticing my tone in communications with people becoming more direct and becoming more obtuse, and maybe turning around and going, my job is to make people's life easier. And if I start being difficult because I'm too busy, then people will turn around and find people who make it easy.
Someone else. Yeah.
So so that was my two things: making sure I've got more balance in life and turning around and being more positive towards everyone that's in my inner circle work-wise, of like solutions based. And if I can't do it, fine, then I'll find you a solution.
Yeah.
Rather than putting a wall up. So that's, that's been my plan for this year, and moving forward it will be. And yeah, I think we're on an hour, mate. And this has been a good chat and a long time coming. So
quick.
I've enjoyed this chat, mate, and I think I'd like to wrap it up and say I hope everyone else who's been watching and listening has as well. Hopefully there'll be another one in the pipeline very soon. But it's been good. And anything else from you, Alex, at this point?
No, Stu, just great to catch up, and I'm glad we're doing this. And yeah, just look forward to the next one. Thanks for listening, and yeah, see you soon.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. See you soon.